Okay, so I think I'm just gonna swing this video as soon as possible, should I say as fast as possible. The title suggests what I'm gonna be showing you, and I'm just gonna get into it straight forward. Okay, so when it comes to testing castles, of course we've got my alt here that we're gonna test on. When it comes to testing castles, there isn't only one method that works. As long as you get the correct formation every time you test, that method works, and it doesn't mean you have to change your method. But in some cases, you can adjust the amount of troops you send. Okay, so for example, I know how much my alt account has in wall research and how much wall HP it has. My standard wall break march is one army hero, and then we've got 4 of the siege heroes, right? And then we have this tier 2 units and 60k tier 4 siege. This isn't the most optimal, I'm gonna say right now. I think the more optimal version is if you were to make it like something like this, and then add tier 1 siege to make it a total of 100k, or just use tier 1s instead of tier 2s here. But you know, I personally use this because we very rarely have enough tier 1 in the castle to do this. Okay, so this is my wall break march. Yep. Uh, Personally, when testing formations, I like to use cav wedge if it's anti-scout, and if the castle has no anti-scout, I use ranged phalanx. Reason being is when you're breaking a wall and the target doesn't have anti-scout, when you send a test march and you break the wall, the troops that are in infirmary are the troops that their front line is in 100% of the time. If you were to send it in cav wedge, for some reason it messes up every now and then the troop you're gonna get infirmary in like maybe 5 to 10% of the cases isn't the front line they are in. So this is why I send my wall break march in ranged failings if the target does not have anti-scout. So currently my castle does have anti-scout, just to show you. This is anti-scout. I'm gonna break the wall. I'm gonna personally, for this matter, because right now we are waiting on baron resources and everything, I'm just gonna lower my march, so I don't have to waste my troops necessarily. I'm gonna do this actually. Um, so necessarily I'm just saving troops right now, but usually I would send the march you saw previously. In most of the cases it kills most of the walls, but not the fully maxed out walls. You'll need to send 2 test marches if you're using the same one as I am. Okay, so the wall break hits. I accidentally hit in range failings. It's okay. It doesn't matter if you use range failings in anti-scout targets as well. The wall is dropped, 179k might. Next up, you only need 2 test marches. In this case, well, in every case, it's ranged and cavalry test. My battalion for cavalry test is just simple for inf units, for range units, and 20k tier 2 cav units. We have 4 cav units and then 1 ranged unit, and the familiars we use are actually quite simple. None of the Pact 5 familiars. We only use Tailwind, the Stacker, the Stunner, the HP, and the cav attack one. And every time you're testing with cavalry units, you send it in range failings. Okay. It works in range wedge as well, but personally I just prefer range failings. Next up, you need a ranged battalion, well, a ranged test battalion, in which case it's 1 army hero, 4 ranged units, and then you have pretty much the same composition of familiars for ranged as you would have for cav. No Pack 5 familiars. It's very important you do not use Pack 5 familiars for your testing. And then again, pretty much the same stuff. 4 infantry units, 4 cavalry units, and then 19,992 of ranged units. This test you would send in cavalry wedge. Okay, so let's send our test in cavalry wedge. Right now it's 179,000 and 343 might. So we send our range test, wait for it to hit, and we watch the might. 179,343. It is 8k drop. This means, well, okay, so I have to explain something first. My alt doesn't have a lot of troops, right? So this range test immediately tells me it's in ranged formation, because and it's soloable, right? this castle is soloable and it's in range formation. Reason being is because when the target is in range formation and it drops 8,7,8,000 on your test to range formation, it is 95% of the cases soloable. Okay, so it dropped 8,000 might. But if you want to double make sure that it's in range formation, you put yourself in range formation, range failings, and then you take your cavalry test, you send the cavalry test, and you watch the might again. It's not gonna drop anything. Very minimal drop. It means it's in range formation, right? In this case, it's in range wedge because when your cavalry test does any damage, wait, I can actually demonstrate this to you. Let me just change the formation on my account to range for failings. Okay, so now it's in range failings. So look at this. I'm sending the cavalry test again. You see, it didn't drop anything. The reason being is because range failings, when you're testing a cavalry with cavalry, it will never drop any might. With this kind of test, of course. I hope you guys did understand what I'm trying to say here. So let's change the formation to some other. Yeah, I'm not gonna say which one I changed it to, but I'm gonna retest how I usually do. Let me just heal real quick. Okay, so all healed up. Now it's 170,287. I will first send range test. I always send range test first because it tells the most. 170,287. Almost 60,000 of a drop. This immediately tells you it's cavalry formation. Usually on normal targets you will get somewhere between 20 to anywhere above 20,000 on range test, and then you don't even have to send a cavalry test, right? If you want to double make sure, you can send a cavalry test and it will do damage. It will do like 5,000 maybe. In this case it will do more than 5,000, but cavalry test will do damage you can notice compared to the range formation we just mentioned earlier. So right now we know that this target is in cavalry formation. Next up I'm gonna switch it to another formation, so we do a last test, and I'm again gonna send range test first as I always do. Right now it's at 111,063. It drops 6,000. Okay, as I said, when testing formations and you're getting some kind of weird drops, like 6,000, I always rather double make sure with cavalry test, because in some situations the castle might not have enough troops to tell you which formation it is exactly if you just test with ranged. So in this case I'm gonna put myself in range failings. I'm gonna send another test, and it's gonna be a cavalry test, and it's gonna do 105,317, and it drops him to 090. It's 15,000 of a drop. So we had 5,000 drop on a range test and 15,000 drop on a cav test. Immediately you know it's infantry formation, because cavalry does the most damage, range does a little bit of damage. So I think this is pretty much it. I really don't have much else to say. It's really not complicated. You just need to put it into practice. I guess I could necessarily make a line post about my battalions and everything, so you guys can copy the pictures and then follow what I have written down as to what is which formation when testing and stuff. But if you did watch this video and you already know how to test, I guess you're just here to flex and see if I actually know how to test. If you did not know how to test, I hope you did learn something and did listen to what I say. It's really not complicated. You just have to have a good wall break march, good range test, good cavalry test, and then correctly switch formations. So to repeat, let's go from the start. So if the target is anti-scout, I personally send my wall break in cavalry wedge, because then I do not have to switch the formation for sending on range test. I would basically do this, right? So I send my wall break there. Let's say it hits, boom, I just send my range right after, boom, it hits, right, I get the drop I want, and then I can go with cav immediately, boom. It takes me like 2 seconds to switch, you know. It's very simple. It's just a matter of not having to do much more clicking than it's necessary. So next up we said if the target does not have anti-scout, only wall break is enough. but it must be in ranged phalanx, because otherwise it messes up. If you do not have an anti-scout target, then you can just simply send a wall break margin range phalanx, and the troops you get in the infirmary are the ones that their formation is in. If you want to, you can double make sure just for scout again. Next up, we said for testing when it comes to ranged. Okay, so let's talk about the range phalanx, range formation targets. We're gonna divide it into two parts: range phalanx and range wedge. Ranged phalanx target gonna drop like anywhere from 4k to above, and cav is not gonna do any damage to range phalanx. That's how you know it's gonna be in range phalanx. If it's range wedge, you're gonna drop 4k or above with ranged, and cav is gonna do some damage. You're gonna notice some kind of drop, but not significant drop. Oh yeah, one thing we said is if the target drops anywhere from 6,000 mites to above, it is in a lot of cases soloable. Personally, I solo anywhere from 7k above, but I've done some situations where it was soloable from 6,000 mite drop and above. Cavalry formation targets. Range is gonna do very significant amount of damage, especially with my test, 20k minimum. And if you want to double make sure with the cav test, you just send a cav test in ranged phalanx, and it's gonna drop them about 5,000 might. Not much more than 5,000 though. And lastly, when they are in infantry formation, your ranged is gonna do some damage on the test. Not necessarily high. In most of cases, it's gonna do like 3,000-4,000, and then you send a a cavalry test in range phalanx, and you're gonna do a significant amount of damage, anywhere from 10,000 to above. But yeah, I hope that's all I have to say. It's been actually prolonged to a very big extent. I didn't think this is gonna be a 12-minute long video. I hope you did learn something. As you can see, even my guildmates are asking me why the fuck am I attacking my own account. I guess they're gonna find out eventually though. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hope you learned something, and